Moneymaking is essential in old school RuneScape, especially for mid-level players, as you'll need a ton of gold to push your account into the endgame. In this video, I've compiled the best PvM moneymakers for mid-level players that you can find in the game that not only generate a lot of GP, but are also great ways to train your combat stats. I'll outline the best methods in the first part of this video, and I'll leave some time at the end to cover some honorable mentions in case you're looking for something a little bit different. A lot of these methods have been forgotten by the player base, so there is a good chance you'll come across a method you're not aware of. Fever Spiders are a level 49 monster and are a great middle-of-the-pack moneymaker. Now pre-nerf, these were pulling in over 1 mil an hour, but after the nerf, you can still make around 450k an hour on a mid-level account. To kill Fever Spiders, you'll need to have at least 42 Slayer and have completed or at least started the Rum Deal quest. Rum Deal is a medium level quest that doesn't take very long, but it does have a handful of questing prerequisites that'll need to be completed beforehand, which could be a deterrent for accounts that have solid stats, but have not done a lot of questing. Fever Spiders are found in the basement of the brewery on Brain Death Island, which is the island you travel to during the Rum Deal quest. The best way to get to this island is to travel to Port Phasmatis using an ectophile, and then talking to Pirate Pete, who will teleport you free of charge to Brain Death. From there, head to the brewery basement, and you will find the spiders. All combat styles are effective against the spiders, but I do prefer using range or mage in this location. The reason for this is that when you're meleeing the spiders, you'll need to wear a pair of Slayer gloves to avoid the disease that they can spread. When using range or mage, you can safe spot the spiders using the crates found in the southwest corner of the brewery, avoiding the need to wear the Slayer gloves. The reward table on these spiders is very consistent, with 4 out of the 6 common drops being really great alchable items, so make sure you bring your alch runes. They also drop a lot of Quarm herbs, which can go for about 4k each right now, so make sure to bring an herb sack if you have one. I would personally recommend around 50 in your combat stat that you plan to use in this location. And while the XP won't be as great here compared to some of the other locations, they are a pretty low level requirement and they're easy to kill. The next mob that is great for mid-level accounts are the zombie pirates. Now, zombie pirates are a newer addition to the game and can be found in the wilderness. Although they are a wilderness monster, these are a great moneymaker right now at around 800k an hour on mid-level accounts. The only formal requirement for fighting zombie pirates is level 37 prayer, because the chaos elders at the temple will attack you with mage, and you'll need to pray mage constantly to protect from it. You do not need prayer potions though, as there is an altar at the Chaos Temple which you can use to refresh your prayer points. Zombie pirates range between level 22 to 34, and I would suggest at least level 50 in whatever combat skill you plan to use here. Zombie pirates aren't weak to any particular combat style, so bring any setup you'd like, but note that this is the wilderness, and if you're killed by another player, you are going to lose your items. Zombie pirates are located at the Chaos Temple in level 11 of the wilderness. The Chaos Temple is straight north of Varrock, and you can get there by teleporting with a burning amulet, which will take you right to the temple. Make sure you bring a teleport out of the wilderness so you can bank quickly and avoid PKers. You can also bring a looting bag to this location, which will give you an additional 28 inventory slots to carry loot while you're in the wilderness. That being said, I would recommend to make trips to the bank quite often, as this is a dangerous area that does attract a few PKers. Alright, this next moneymaker on my list may seem a little outdated, but it is definitely one of the more AFK options we have on this list, and that is the skeletal wyverns. Wyverns boast a somewhat high Slayer requirement at level 72 Slayer, but this is achievable for mid-level accounts, and Wyverns can bring in 600 to 700k GP an hour while being completely AFK. Skeletal Wyverns are located in the Asgarnian dungeon, which can be teleported to using the fairy ring code AIQ. From there, you'll run into the icy section of the dungeon and travel through a small tunnel to find the wyverns. These wyverns have a strong defense against range, but I'd still recommend using range against them, as it will allow you to safe spot and AFK for up to 2 minutes. 70 range will be enough to kill these efficiently, but higher range levels will obviously make a big difference. Alch runes are a must for this moneymaker, as once you lose aggression, you are not going to want to leave and re-enter the cave due to how the safe spot works. Wyverns do drop prayer potions, so you can drink them to replenish prayer for quicker kills, but that's really up to you. A set of void range here really does exceptional, but you can also wear D'hide and have similar performance. Skeletal Wyverns have a strong rewards table with a chance of Dragonplate legs or a Dragonplate skirt or even Granite legs, and you'll be getting a lot of rune alchables here as well, so there is a level of consistency provided. They also have a high chance to drop noted items, which is really nice as it will extend the longevity of your trip. Wyverns also have a 5% chance to drop an herb on every kill, so bringing your herb sack is going to limit your trips to the bank and increase your kills per hour. Skeletal Wyverns generated a lot of my mid-game money, and I definitely love them as an option due to how easy they are. Using the safe spot, you can still get around 600k an hour here, which is really good money considering how AFK that these can be. The next monster that is just insane money, and in my opinion, the perfect option for mid-level players, are the Locust Riders. Locust Riders are one of those monsters that are often forgot about or overlooked. I think these are forgotten about so often because they do hit a lot of damage, and these are by far not an AFK moneymaker. You will need to pay attention while you fight the Locust Riders, as they use different combat styles. But mid-level players can pull up to 900k an hour with this spot, making it a great mob to build your bank on. Not only are Locust Riders great money, they are also an amazing spot to train your range, landing in at around 120k range XP an hour. I definitely recommend 75 range for this spot, and bringing a blowpipe with adamant darts. You're going to need high magic defense gear in this location as well, because you'll be tanking a lot of mage hits. I'd recommend Carol's top and bottom if you can afford it, but you might be able to get away with Blessed Dragonhide as well. Bringing a cannon will also help increase your kills per hour, and you'll be hitting that 900k GP an hour mark with using a cannon. If you're bringing a cannon, I would also recommend bringing a Ring of Wealth as well, because Locust Riders have a lot of coin drops, which you'll want to automatically pick up. It is also advised to bring an inventory of high-grade food, such as sharks or manta rays, and some prayer potions, as well as an antidote, as these mobs have a chance to poison you. You'll be praying Protect from missiles while you're killing the riders, and tanking the magic hits from the Scarab mages. Kill the Scarab mages as soon as you see them to reduce incoming damage. I just wanted to point out here that these are not an AFK mob. You'll need to be focused while killing these, as you'll be taking damage periodically, and you'll need to eat food. You'll also want to take down those Scarab mages as quickly as possible to reduce that incoming damage. Locust Riders can only be accessed after the completion of the Contact quest, which most mid-level players have likely completed, but if they haven't, they'll definitely need to continue their journey to endgame. The Locust Riders are found in the basement of the Sopanem Bank, so you can head down the ladder within the bank and travel down to floor 2, and you'll find there is a room that is somewhat circular that has a ton of riders. You can set up your cannon in the middle and go to work. The average loot per kill from a Locust Rider is 3k, and similar to Wyverns, you'll be getting a lot of alchable drops here, so definitely bring your alch runes. I also wanted to point out that the herb and seed drop table for these mobs is pretty expansive, but most of the drops are 1 in 64, so they are a little bit less common. That being said, your main moneymaker here will be driven by the noted drops and the stackable items that have a high chance of dropping, such as the blood runes and the cosmic runes, as well as noted adamant ore and mithril bar drops. One of my favorite things about this moneymaker is there is a bank located literally right above this spot, which makes banking really easy and is just another cherry on top for this location. Alright, the last monster here is what I consider to be the #1 moneymaker for mid-level players in terms of access, AFK ability, and hourly profit, and that is the Temple Spiders. Temple Spiders will bring about 400k an hour from a profit standpoint, but they are in a multi-combat zone, and they do spawn very frequently, allowing mid-level players to burst them with either magic or end up using Chinchampas to provide insane EXP rates for both mage and range. But you don't have to chin or burst them to get this amazing XP. You can also bring a blowpipe setup for range training here and get around 120k range XP an hour, so the EXP without chinning or bursting is still really good. I'd recommend that you do all your range training here with or without Chinchampas once you're around level 75 range. You can do it before this as well if you'd like using a magic short bow. You'll just get less EXP an hour. You can also use this for your mage training as well with Ice Burst or Barrage if you're at that level. That'll work great too. Melee works fine here, in which case you can just bring your best melee gear, but if you're going to use melee, you're probably better off killing the Fever Spiders, as you'll get likely a little bit more GP per hour. As for range training and mage training, you will still profit using a blowpipe here, and if you use chins or you burst, you'll break even on your cost, so you can get some insane EXP rates without spending a lot of money. Temple Spiders are located in the Forthos dungeon, which is found on Zaya. It is in the Hosidius area, and you can enter it with one of these two cave entrances below. You can fight spiders here in these ruins, and running back and forth between both sides of the ruins will provide the best and easiest way to draw aggro from the spiders. These spiders have such an OP loot table with a really good runes table. You have a great chance of receiving rune drops such as chaos runes, nature runes, and cosmic runes, with a slightly smaller chance to get soul runes and law runes. One of the primary drops you'll be receiving a lot of is the noted red spider eggs. These will add up fast from a profit standpoint and be very consistent money while you're here. You also have a 1 in 100 chance of getting a grubby key drop, which is worth about 40k. Keep in mind that you'll be killing these spiders really quickly regardless of what combat style you use, especially if you're chinning or bursting though. So while some of these drop chances might seem low, you're actually killing a lot per hour. Originally, I was going to wrap up the video here, but there are two other mid-level options which I think make great honorable mentions. The first monster I want to point out is the Brine Rats. Brine Rats overall don't have a great drop table. They're okay, but what's really interesting here is there is a chance to get a Brine Saber drop. If you don't know what a Brine Saber is, it's basically a slightly better rune scimitar, and it's primarily used on pure accounts. The only way to get a Brine Saber is by killing these rats, but with sailing on the horizon, the Brine Sabers have gone up a lot in price due to speculation that they might be used in the sailing update. Recently, I've seen these Brine Sabers trade upwards of 700k, which means that if you got lucky killing these Brine Rats, you can actually make some solid GP an hour. Brine Rats can be killed after the completion of Olaf's quest, and current estimates for profit here are around 250k an hour, and that is with the Brine Saber being priced at 450k. The other honorable mention I wanted to point out is the Revenants. I did not include this in the main list because they're pretty well known, and I thought one wilderness method was enough for this video. Revenants are great money though if you're willing to risk it, and just using a magic shortbow here with some black d'hide can get you around 2 mil an hour on a mid-level account. This will depend on your stats and what you end up killing, of course, but with a little bit of luck at Revenants, you can go very, very far, and it could save you a lot of time on your pursuit to a huge cash stack. Even with really bad stats, you can still get 1 mil an hour here, which is pretty insane, and you'll run into PKers a lot of the time. That is all for this video. If you found any of these money-making methods helpful, please be sure to drop a like as it really helps out my channel. If you want to see more money-making guides in the future, be sure to subscribe and check out the rest of my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.